Welcome to Wildstar Weekly, the web show where I wax wordedly about the wild and wacky wonderful world of Wildstar. And this week, we're talking about murder. Actually, this week we're talking about PvP, but really they are kind of the same thing when you think about it. You're killing players. And to celebrate the weekend of power, prestige, and PvP on Nexus, I thought I'd take a look at PvP, something I really have neglected so far. Sorry, murderers. And I'm sorry, it's because I'm a PvE kid. I'm too busy thinking about that thing. Like, look at that thing. How could you kill any of your friends while that thing is still alive? Those are eyes on its arm. That's gross. And I think Wildstar's offerings got something for everybody. You want the awesome chaos of a deathmatch? Well, Battlegrounds are for you. Extreme precision and composition fights. You're going to want a hard challenge? That's going to be arenas. If you want the big epic battles, though, that can't be done anywhere but war plots. But let's take a look at how Wildstar's combat when applied to PvP works. One of the interesting and infinitely humorous things about Wildstar's combat when applied to a large scale is that when you get 10 people fighting 10 other people, it kind of is immediate chaos. Telegraphs are flying around each which way, everybody's running around and dodging and teleporting and moving very quickly because this game is very mobile. You are essentially in a giant disco dance floor of death. It is fantastic. And with objectives serving as hilarious flashpoints for the discotheque show of destruction, it's a good time overall. I actually had a lot of fun with Wildstar's Battlegrounds, but I think that's because any game's PvP is really just a function of that combat. If the game's got good combat, then the PvP is bound to be good as well. And Wildstar's got some pretty two-thumbs-up combat. But I'm not really looking to take you to the variety of PvP options you got available. More so, I want to talk about how PvP is in Wildstar in general. Wildstar's combat lends a sense of strength and weight to its characters. There are a few people being obliterated in one shot. This isn't vanilla Warcraft where a shaman could tap you with his mace, and the Wind Fury crit would send your giblets into the stratosphere. No, combat against other players in Wildstar is deliberate and attrition-based. This, of course, scales to yours and your opponent's PvP stats, of course. I mean, I've got some basic PvP gear, but I still get messed up pretty hard, and someone of a substantial gear advantage can feel like an unkillable force. But in BGs, you have the ability to at least dogpile them into a tasteful stain on the carpet. Team comp and pure skill are what you want here. Well, more team comp. Let's be real here. Up until recently, medics and warriors kinda rocked it. Which brings me to my next biggest point, and what I see to be kind of a major flaw with Wildstar's current PvP. Class balance issues. Up until recently, medics ruled, and warriors ruled. With Drop 6, things are shifting and back into flux, stalkers are seeing a lot of power, but they're still kind of all over the place, as people settle into what they do. Class balance is a tough act. It requires a lot of testing, and often that testing is best done in live, where trends can develop across multiple skill levels. Carbine's had some issues with PvP class balance in the past. The most prevalent, of course, this comes into play in arenas, which are a little bit smaller right now, but gaining strength, where small groups duke it out, and in open-world PvP. As free-to-play irons out, though, we'll see what classes rise up and what classes fall. And let's hope that Carbine is quick to fix the balance on these issues, because there have been some issues in the past. But there is one little bit of PvP I have left out so far, and it's an important one, and one that sadly needs a lot of work. I am, of course, talking about war plots. So as it turns out, massive battlegrounds that you build yourself are awesome, but assembling a team to do that is not so awesome. I mean, the war party system really seems to be like a giant arena team, and I have enough trouble managing one other person in my arena team. I can't even imagine running 29. You get the same issues here that you had with the roster boss and Datascape. 40 people are not easy to manage, neither are 30. 20 people easier, 10 people definitely. But 40 people, 30 people, that's a lot of people that you have to sync up schedules for and get everybody online at the same time in order to jump into war plots. They did alleviate this somewhat with the mercenary system where you could join as a mercenary and join a random war plot, but at the same time, this hasn't really caused war plots to really take off in the way that would make them super awesome. 30v30 epic battles between customizable fortresses? War plots are so friggin' awesome on paper, but not so much in practice. It takes a huge amount of overhead to assemble a team in a fortress, so it seems to have really fallen by the wayside. Don't get me wrong though, they're still done. I mean, some people are really devoted and host them on weekends to try and get people into it. But if you're hoping to queue into one, well, it's not gonna happen. Carbine has acknowledged this though, and that there could be some changes coming to war plots. I can't wait to hear more about this, because seriously, if the words flying death fortresses don't get you uncomfortably tight in the jeans, you may want to see a doctor. Sadly, in its current state, PvP kind of feels like a metagame to the real game going on. They even mentioned this briefly in the Casual Friday live stream, where they were talking about how PvP changes are first considered as PvE changes. It's kind of cool for somebody like me, who's a PvE nerd, but at the same time, PvP should be fleshed out just like PvE is. And I think Warplot changes could really, really do that. But if you'd give me a moment to speculate here on what I'd love to see for Warplots in the future, perhaps give them some sort of metagame aspect. Warplots giving out some kind of bonuses, like prestige or special vendors, but these things require resources. You can land your Warplot to get resources with a team. Perhaps you can do 10v10, 20v20, or 30v30, but you can also get attacked by other war parties while you're doing this, which gives you kind of this sort of meta back and forth. Maybe it'll get more people back into the game, and with the reduction of overhead from smaller groups, this might help alleviate the lack of people doing them. But those are just my ideas. I am not a game designer. But I think that I've talked enough about PvP, at least for now. It's been a general look at PvP, my opinions on it. I very much like the Wildstar PvP systems in-game. There's a lot of interesting stuff on offer, and PvP is generally fun, especially when you get the flashing floor of the Disco Dance of Doom going. It is actually pretty great. So I'd recommend trying it out if you've still got time on this weekend. I know this is coming out on a Sunday, and this is basically the last day. But if you see this video, jump online and jump into some PvP and kill some people, because it's super fun. But until next week, this has been Wildstar Weekly. So get out there, Nexians, and commit a little bit of murder.